Hello, financial literacy students. I'm Mr. Pond. If you happen to be watching this from Stillwell, Mrs. Eichhorn, Mr. Penning, and I are kind of sharing our resources and kind of taking turns doing some of the notes for the class. And so you had previously learned about investment options from Mrs. Eichhorn's presentation, and hopefully you're on the road to understanding that pretty well. The next thing we're going to talk about is savings options. So we're just going to go through in the next few minutes some options for places for you to put your money. The learning target is I will understand there are different options for saving or investing so that I can make an informed decision with my money. So that's kind of the key thing, is to make informed decisions with your money. So you make some good choices. All right, so there's three main types of savings options. First one's a savings account. We'll go through just a little bit about that. The second one is something called a certificate of deposit, or a CD for short. Okay, it's different if you're familiar with music CDs. This is going to be obviously different than that. And the third type is called a money market account. Okay, so savings account. Probably pretty familiar with that, and hopefully if I asked you to raise your hand, if you could, if you have a savings account, you could certainly raise your hand and are pretty familiar with that, but we'll go through that real quick here. So savings accounts are insured accounts at a bank or credit union, and they are insured up to $250,000. So what that last part means is if somebody comes and robs the bank and they take money, they're not taking your personal money, they're taking the money that's at the bank. So with that in mind, there's two key things here. So you have risk and you have reward. Okay, risk is, what is the chance that I'm going to lose my money by having it in a savings account? And we are going to know that risk is low. Okay, that is low. You're not going to lose your money when it's in a savings account. And it may be a little hard to see over here on this diagram. And you can go through, and the Google slides will be available to click on as well, just on your own if you want to see this a little bit better. But this pyramid over here kind of describes the different choices and if they are low risk or high risk. Okay, so you can look at that little pyramid on your own as well. Now, the reward means, what's the chance I'm going to make a lot of money in this option? And in this case, the reward is low. If you've seen your savings account, you know that you're not making a lot of interest. I'm talking about like less than 1%, like a half of 1% or something like that right now. It's really low. So the risk is low and the reward is also low. The next option is called a certificate of deposit. And what this means, it's a special type of savings that offers a slightly higher interest rate in exchange for an amount to be left in the bank for a period of time. So basically, think of it like a contract where you're signing and you're saying, I'm going to put at least maybe $1,000 in the bank, and I'm going to leave it there for maybe 6 months. And in return for doing that, the bank is going to say, I'm going to pay you a little bit more interest in return for your agreeing to do that. So how does that look in terms of risk and reward? Well, the risk is still low. This money is still safe. You're not going to lose your money. And the reward, although better than a regular savings account usually, it is also still pretty low. So just like with savings accounts, risk and reward is also low. Here's an example of a document, a certificate of deposit, and you can see here on this, hopefully you can read this okay, it tells you the date. This is a really old example, but it gives you the idea that this person said they're going to leave the money there for 180 days or half a year, and in return they're going to get paid 3.65%. And that's just kind of an old example of what one might look like. Okay, so next is going to be Okay, sorry for that interruption. My recording software has a 5 minute limit, so I reached that and they had to cut me off, and now I got to start on the second part. So, anyway, here we go. The third option for savings is called a money market account. Um, Again, they earn a little bit more interest than a regular savings account. It's somewhat similar to a certificate deposit, in that there's more of a contract involved. It might have more requirements. In this case, it might be you have to deposit more money to open this. It might have some other restrictions. In return, they're going to pay a slightly higher interest rate. And again, there may be restrictions on withdrawals, how many times you can take money out of that account. Again, when it comes to risk and reward, though, you can see over here in the pyramid, that is also at the low part of the pyramid, which means it is low risk. Okay, you're not going to lose your money in a money market account. However, in return, again, the reward or the amount of money you're going to make or interest is also low. So we're going to still say those are both low for risk and reward. Okay, so those are the three main types of savings options we want you to be familiar with. There's going to be probably a Kahoot. Look for a Kahoot or quizzes to be posted to check for your understanding of those three things. So again, let the teacher know if you don't have any, if you're not understanding something about one of those three options for savings.